Hello, I'm Paige Walters.
Hi.
It's nice to meet you, Amy.
Nice to meet you.
All right, so before we get into our session, I just want to explain to you a little bit about confidentiality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with HIPAA law.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, well, basically, as you know, this just means that in this session, what we talk about is between you and I. It does not leave the session. Now, the only exception to that is if you talk about harming yourself or harming someone else, because of my responsibility as a mandated reporter, I would have to report that to the authorities.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, great. So can you tell me a little bit about why you are here today?
Yeah. Well, I recently went through a divorce. I was married for 25 years.
All right.
I was with him for 27. And, it sounds crazy kind of to say this, but I'm engaged already.
Okay.
I kind of met my current fiance as my marriage was breaking up. I was not cheating on my ex-husband with this guy. That was not the case.
Okay.
But the timing was weird. I was moving out of the house filing for a divorce, and then I met Pete, my fiance. And my biggest concern today why I'm here is I love Pete. He's a very good man. He's kind. And we have been talking marriage. And I kind of feel torn. Like, I still think about my ex a lot. I mean, I was with him forever. We were best friends up until the end. But yet I really love Pete, and I know he's, like, a good man.
Okay. Just so I can get a little bit of more background, when did this marital rift start between you and your husband?
My ex-husband.
Yeah, your ex-husband, I'm sorry.
Probably about we were married probably like 23, 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
So about a year and a half before I actually left him.
Okay. And when were you finally legally separated? How long ago was that?
Oh, boy. A year?
About a year ago?
Like, legally separated or divorced?
Separated, when you were living separately.
Oh, over a year.
Okay.
Year and a half.
All right, just so I can understand a bit more of the time frame. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm torn because, I've talked to other people that have been married for a long time and have gone through divorces, and they say it's like a death, and I get that now. I still think about my ex-husband's name is Greg, and I think about him a lot, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 children together. We have a son that's 22 and a daughter that's 20. So we're probably still going to have to see each other maybe, with future things coming up with the kids. And I'm just sick of, like, thinking about him all the time. And keep going.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
It seems like I'll go like a month or a while, and then I won't really think much about him. If I do, it's no big deal. And then I'll have like a couple days or a week that I'm like, I hear a song that reminds me of him.
Okay.
I'll start crying. But then I feel guilty towards Pete because we are engaged, and I do love Pete.
Sure.
And he's really shown me what like a healthy relationship is supposed to be like. But and I know it takes a while, and they say it goes in stages, but I'm just really, like, I still think about Greg a lot.
Okay. Well, with everything that you've gone through in the past year, I certainly believe it's normal to have some conflicting feelings. You've been through some very major life events, so I wouldn't be too hard on yourself for feeling a little torn and confused.
That makes me feel a little better.
Good. So what do you think, because you are my client, your best interest is what I have in mind, and we do have to take care of ourselves. What do you think is the healthiest choice or, the best choice for you to do right now at this point in your life?
Probably the healthiest would be to, I never used to really believe in counseling a lot, but, ever since the divorce and all that, I give it a lot of credit because when I first was going through, before I even filed, when Greg and I weren't really speaking, I did see a counselor because I didn't know what was going on. My husband, my best friend, was not talking to me, so I went to her, and she kind of guided me in like maybe what I should think about doing. And, so I think like right now the healthiest would be to probably speak to a professional like you or someone about maybe just getting through the Greg stuff before I
Sure.
really finally commit to Pete.
Okay.
Because I do want to marry Pete, but maybe not yet.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're doing a great job recognizing your feelings, and you know what the best method to deal with your feelings is. You recognize that it's a good idea to talk to a professional to try to sort this out. So I think that's great, and you do deserve to give yourself a pat on the back for that.
It doesn't always feel like it.
So if I may ask, does Pete, your current fiance, know about these feelings that you've been having of confliction?
For the most part, yes, he does. He doesn't know everything, of course, but sometimes, not so much like now, but kind of in the beginning, like he was, when my divorce was final, he was there with, not at the courthouse, but we went out for lunch afterwards, like, to cheer me up.
Okay.
And he knew, and I told him, and my mom also told him that, because she likes him and she knows him, and she said, Pete, please be patient with my daughter, because, Greg was a part of all of our lives for so long, and he still is my kid's father.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been very patient, but I know it hurts his feelings, like, when, like, something he says reminds me of Greg, and he'll look at me, if I get quiet, he'll look at me, and he can't, I think he knows what I'm thinking, like, oh, she's thinking about him again.
Okay.
So, yeah, for the most part, he does know, and he's been very patient, but I can tell you his feelings get hurt, he just gets kind of quiet, really quiet.
So you can kind of pick up on him sensing a little bit of tension between you guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he just, like, his method is kind of to get quiet, withdraw a little bit, and and I can't say that I blame him. I mean, if that was him, I'd be mad, but,
yes.
And I asked him too at the beginning, please be patient. I was with this guy forever, and he has been so far, but, so yeah, he knows there's underlying, issues that still need to get resolved.
And has Pete talked to you about how he feels knowing your feelings toward Greg still? Has he brought that up with you?
Yeah, it's getting better. At first he would just shut down. That's kind of his way of, he's not an arguer or a fighter or a yeller, like the ex was.
Okay.
He's getting better though. He'll be like, I really don't like that. It really kind of hurt my feelings. And then it usually takes me a little bit, then I gotta step back and go, oh, yeah, I'll think in my head, yeah, that probably did really make him mad. Or hurt his feelings, and I don't like that. So he has made his feelings known, and I'm trying to be better because my first instinct is to be like, whatever, deal with it. But I'm trying to be like, okay, think about how he feels. So.
Okay, well, it's great that you're recognizing how your actions and behaviors can affect Pete, and it does really seem to me like you're concerned about how he feels, and you're trying to do your part to support what he's feeling, let him feel what he's feeling, and to be good about that. So that is great, and it's great that you're recognizing
I'm trying, yeah.
Well, that's all you can do.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
If I may ask, are you and Greg, your ex-husband, are you still in communication with him at this time?
We do communicate most of the time. If we do communicate, it's through texting.
Okay.
And there are some legal things going on too that we have to communicate about.
Sure.
There was some land and a house issue. He signed over the land to me, I signed over the house to him, but the house has to sell. So he has been giving me updates, and normally they're just, I met with a realtor, things look good, or things don't look good. But once in a while, he does get a little personal.
Okay.
And, my one counselor, when I first went through this, when it was real, like, kind of mean and raw yet, she was like, don't just talk about the kids or really pertinent things.
Okay.
Well, sometimes I feel myself getting sucked back in, and we talk about personal things a little bit.
Okay.
And it's hard. I know I probably shouldn't.
Sure. Well, when you were with someone for as long as you were with him, it's very natural to kind of fall into that trap, making it seem like old times. So try not to beat yourself up about that. I mean, when you're with someone for that long, and I believe you said 17 years old you met him.
Yeah,
so.
and I was 45 when we divorced.
So that's very understandable. I can't blame you. May I ask, when he gets personal toward you, what type of feelings does that bring up in you? How does that make you feel?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one. Greg still has a way with me that, like, I used to call his mind games.
Okay.
He gets right in here, and he just stays. And I'm learning to recognize it more. Not saying that I'm perfect, but, like, he'll twist things around and be like, oh, well, like in his text. And then I'll be thinking, oh my gosh, what did I do? Then I'm thinking, wait a minute, now it's Greg doing his thing again.
Okay, so it sounds like he knows you and he knows what will work to maybe instigate to get a response out of you.
Exactly. He knows me. We know each other very well, and
sure.
And sometimes they're very sweet texts. Like he'll say something about the house, and then he'll say, "Well, Amy, I will always love you, even though things don't work out. Wish you the best." And I'm like, "Oh, that was really nice." And then like 2 weeks later, a month later, he's like, "I hope you know what you're doing with Pete." So, and like turn it around kind of. So it's like, and then, I'm learning not to like buy into the mind games. Trying.
Okay. And is Pete aware of these conversations occurring between you and Greg?
For the most part, yes. I try to, I really believe, since past mistakes have shown me that to be honest, even if it hurts or hurts a person, be honest at all times.
Sure.
So like I'll show my phone to Pete, like, look, the ex is texting me, and this is what he texted me. But then sometimes I don't, I guess.
Okay. Well, it is great that for the most part you're recognizing how important that honesty is, and it's good that you're encouraging open communication between you and Pete, even if the topic maybe isn't the most pleasant topic.
Yeah.
So that's definitely great, and it shows that you do care about your relationship with Pete, it seems to me, and you're investing in it. So how do you think, when Greg tries to instigate with you maybe or get too personal, how do you think you should deal with that in a way that doesn't affect you negatively?
Well, I know, like intellectually I know that I shouldn't even engage, about personal stuff. I should just talk about the house, if it sells, or the land, or with the kids, if something comes up with them. And if he starts to get personal, I know that I shouldn't even go there. Just either ignore him and put goodbye, or, talk to you another time. I know that, but sometimes the old heart just like, I'll be like, oh, I will probably always love you too in a way.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to be with him because I realize he's probably not healthy.
Sure.
Up here. But intellectually, I know that I shouldn't engage personally, but sometimes I fall right back in and I do. Because, there's a part of me that thinks that Greg came into my life for a reason and for a long time, and I have 2 wonderful kids because of it. And I might see him if there's an afterlife, I'll see him there. And it'll be good. But I don't want to be with him.
Right. Well,
so intellectually I know that I should engage, but sometimes I do.
Exactly, and I think, you shouldn't beat yourself up for that. As I said before, the amount of time that you were involved with him, it's a very natural thing to still have the tendency to want to go back there. But it does sound like you are moving in a direction where you know what you want and kind of starting to take initiative and realize that that's your old life now.
I do have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Like they say that you forget sometimes like how miserable things are or were.
Sure.
Now, like, even though it was bad, like when I first moved out of the house, I went to my parents' I was miserable because like I left my house for 20 years. The kids grew up there. I worked in that area and I was miserable, and I knew going back to them probably wouldn't change anything, but I did go back for a few weeks.
Okay.
And like, is that like true that even though it's miserable, it's because it's comfortable, we do that sometimes?
I believe so. I mean, I think that makes sense to me.
Because it's
what
comfortable?
You're used to.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we have the tendency to do what is safe to us.
Right. It felt safe, yeah.
Sure, and of course, being together for that long period of time, I think it's natural to gravitate toward what feels safe to you.
Okay,
so.
that sounds good because it did feel safe at the time.
Right. Okay.
Just wanted to clear that up.
Okay. And if I may ask, now that you are out of his life, for the most part, as much as you can be, how do you feel now? What words come to mind without him part of your day-to-day interactions?
Excuse me. What words come to mind?
Yeah, what feelings could you tell me that you're feeling now that you and him are not together in a romantic relationship?
A lot of feelings, and they're very contradictory. Like a relief that I loved him with all my heart, but there was a lot of dysfunctional, like fighting and mind games. A relief, but then sometimes it's getting better. Sometimes major sadness, like it's kind of for what should have been. Like we should have been able to go to our cabin. The kids were, we divorced when our youngest was 18. We should have had the grandkids, babysat them together. We should have